Today I am so excited to be doing something that I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time now. If you recall, a while ago I took photos into Photoshop, as you do, and I drew over them digitally. I've been wanting to do this idea traditionally for a very long time now, and I am excited to finally do it. But I'm going to be going to the thrift shop to get paintings I find there, so I'm very excited to see what I can find because it's out of my hands. I don't know what I'm gonna find. So let's go to the thrift shop to see what we can find after Kasey tells us about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators by creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, painting, cooking, you name it. Premium memberships give you unlimited access to any class and has given us the perfect opportunity to learn a lot of new art mediums, which I'm super thankful for. Today we learned a thing or two about acrylics and where to start, thanks to Kat Cocolette, whose simple style was something we could really relate to. Skillshare is super affordable. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month, but the first 500 of you to use the link in the description will get a 2-month trial for free. Thanks, Kasey. And with that, let's go to the thrift shop. I am very excited to see what we can find. Don't know about you guys, but filming in public definitely makes me want to just kind of do this number and then never see anybody ever again. Thankfully, it was really easy to find the art section, if that's what you can call it, in the thrift store. I just looked over at the wall. Quickly, I found out that it was either A, really hard to find things that were original paintings because most were prints, or B, the subject of the painting wasn't what I was looking for, you know, like creepy, scary clowns, or hilarious finds like tigers with slogans. The other problem I was running into was art that I found to be too simple or just too similar to my style. I was really looking for a contrast of realism to my more cartoony, simple style. But not all hope was lost. Okay, now we're talking. And it is beat up, darn so. It is very much a dented poop. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I like this one. Kind of big, but that'll do. Okay, here's another one. They're also big, a little simple, but I think it'll do. Okay. I hate this. Yes. A smaller winter scene. Once I found that third piece, I got the heck out of there because I hated filming in public. So now that I am back from the uncomfortable visit to the thrift store where I recorded in public, I can show you guys properly the paintings I picked up. I'm so excited. I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of hoping for a mix of landscapes, maybe like portraits or just, I don't know, something else. There was a lot of abstract art that I was really not feeling that I could add to because I wanted to do the thing where I put like an animal or creature or something into like a realistic looking scene. So this is what I ended up with. Our smallest piece, which is a little unfortunate because it's already kind of on the bigger side, we have this wonderful winter scene, beautiful snow, a river, a lovely little sunset or something. Beautiful, beautiful. So can't wait to see what I add to this. I just love that the artist's signatures are in there, so that's really cool. Thanks to Barrister or Barkister for this one. So after our winter scene, we have our either spring or summer scene. I don't know, it could be both because I only got 3. So again, it's a little more simple than I was hoping for. I was hoping for something a little more realistic because my style is on the simple side. So I wanted something where my style would stand out more, but this sort of spring or summer, I think, scene will be really fun. We can add something something fun to that one. So again, you can see the signature of the artist down there. And on the back of this one, we actually have some more information about the artist. Varnished record, December 74. Oh my gosh, this painting is 40 years old. Art Society affiliations. What? Port Moody Art Association. Wow, so that's actually really interesting. Didn't expect to find that much information about the paintings, but that's so cool. Look at that. All right, so on to our third and final painting. Oh my gosh, whoops. We have, this one doesn't have nearly as much information as that one did, kind of lame, but our biggest piece is this fall or autumn piece. So this one's got a lot of warm colors, the grass is still green, and overall pretty detailed, nice and textured. So I'm excited to add some of my simple art to this one. Pretty dang excited. Actually, thinking about it, my grandfather used to do a lot of paintings like this, kind of like Bob Ross style, where it's just like a landscape or something. It would have been really cool to get some of those from home and paint it on them, but I don't know if my mom would have approved of me painting over his paintings. But either way, this is what we got. I am so excited to add some things. Don't know what I'm gonna do, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do some sketching and planing before I jump in here, because these are one of a kind. If I mess up on these, I'm done. So here we go. I'm excited. So just to show you guys the acrylic materials I bought, but not to go too into detail, I got this pack of golden color mixing classic theory because I liked the color combination you had as opposed to the, I guess it was the modern theory. So these are the colors I got. Now I got such big tubes. I know I'm working small today, but I got big tubes because in the future I do want to do some very large canvas paintings. I'm very excited. Inside the pack of paints came this wonderful little pamphlet, which I thought was really useful to someone who might not be as familiar with, I guess, art. So we have hue, value, tint. We have a bunch of little terms that people might not actually be familiar with, including primary and shade, complementary, wet, dry, all that stuff. So this is a handy little, I guess, reference tool. Not only that, but it has a mixing chart, which is, again, very useful, I think, to maybe someone like me would think is very obvious, but especially we've got some skin tones and blacks, how to mix them and how much to add. So I thought that was really neat. Something very useful to like a beginner. I also got a variety of acrylic brushes in round and angles. I just really like rounds and I really like angles. So there you go. As well as a palette knife and a palette to mix my colors in. So there you go. That's all of the acrylic things I bought. Let's get to sketching. Originally, I was going to do some really quick sketches, little thumbnail replications of each of these paintings, and then sketch my ideas on top of those until I realized how stupid of an idea that was, because that is so much extra work. So what I did was I took my iPad and took a picture of each of the three paintings, took that picture into Procreate, where I drew on top of them and sketched out some ideas. In fact, the texture of the brushes I used in Procreate kind of made it look traditionally done already. But anyways, my first idea was a lake monster or like a swamp monster girl who has been caught by someone walking on the path to the side. But just to get a couple of ideas, I also sketched out some ghosts coming out of the lake and a witch, which is what I ended up going with. Once I had a solid idea, it was time to take the painting out of the frame because I wanted to make sure that I didn't get paint on the frame, and also if I wanted to paint to the edge of the canvas, I needed to remove the frame. Thankfully, it was easy enough, just remove a couple of small nails and I was ready to start painting. Now this was my first time using acrylic. This was the first time. I was going to do some practices. I had bought some small canvases just to maybe familiarize myself with the paints, but then I thought, hey, you know what? You know what's really fun? And I do this every time. I just like to jump right in, so that's what I did. This is our first painting with acrylic, and right away I can already see that sure did use a small brush. I definitely could have used a bigger brush to paint that giant ghost. Speaking of giant ghosts, I think that's my biggest regret about this piece in particular. I feel like I just really filled that spot up with white, and that is all that is there. Just this big blob of white. Don't know why I did that. I could have really filled up the space with so many magical ghosts coming out of that lake, but what do? I do a giant blob of white ghost right there in the middle and just completely cover everything in the painting, in the background. So that is a little bit regretful, but I don't know if that's the worst problem I have in my life. I guess I'm doing pretty good, huh? That said, the texture from the trees behind the ghost really came through, so that ghost is so textured. It looks like there's something wrong, like the ghost has a skin condition or something. When it came to the witch, I don't really know what I was thinking looking back at it. Her ear is purple, and I don't know why I did that. I was also just very impatient with waiting for the paint to dry. I don't think I could ever do oils because I hear those take days to dry. And I was trying to put down colors and trying to layer them, but of course they don't dry within minutes like watercolors do, so I was just like, come on, dry. And then I was having a hard time telling when it was drying, so that was a struggle. I had a lot to learn. At this point, I realized that I had a lot to learn, but I was having a lot of fun with it. I was enjoying the process of painting with something that I've never painted with before. And you might think I ruined this piece, but honestly, I think it's a cute little addition. I just wish that big fat ghost wasn't so big. I was also getting very excited about painting with something that didn't let me be so precise. The witch is very gloopy. She's kind of just chunks of paint and not really very detailed. And I like that. I like being able to let loose and not have lines containing every shape and being so controlling. Definitely excited to play around with that in a future painting. Anyways, that is it for our first painting, our autumn scene with a witch and ghosts. Next up was the winter scene, which again, I started off by taking a picture of the painting and then taking it into Procreate to do some sketching over. So I'm not sure why this is what I ended up drawing, but all I could think about was these weird little alien creature guys just hanging out in this winter wonderland, just doing their thing, palling around with their butt out in the lake, chilling, waving, running around. And then I wanted to put something into the sky because it was looking a little empty back there. So I put a UFO with pink light coming out of it. And there you go. I don't even know. Still hung up on the UFO thing. On the new sketch, I put a crashed UFO with maybe smoke coming out into the sky. And then a cat fishing for some reason. I don't know. The ideas for this one were all over the place and I just wasn't sure. Now, when it came to removing this painting from the frame, I don't know what these people were thinking. There were so many nails sticking into this painting. I mean, there were layers upon layers of nails and pieces of wood, and I just kind of had to rip it out with a hammer because I just couldn't. I don't even know how they got half of the nails in there. I can't even see. Who cares? Moving on. So like I said, I ended up going with the weird little pink guys, so that's what we did. And this one felt pretty straightforward. I just painted a bunch of pink blobs hanging out and just doing their thing. And I'm not sure how long some of you have been around my channel here on YouTube, but the color of these guys, plus their simple face and just the nature of what they are, reminded me of a certain character that I've drawn from time to time. There was a live stream quite a while ago where I would take characters and then I would draw them as stupid as possible. So I did Kirby one day, turned Kirby into a hot dog with a face on either side of it, and gave it legs, and it turned into this really weird creature. So basically, these things that I was drawing in the snow really reminded me of that Kirby character. We named it the Assless Mask because it had a face on either side and no butt. I don't know, either way, I took a winter scene, drew pink blob dudes in it, and that's where I am in life. Where are you? How's your life? How you doing? Because apparently where my career took me, I am drawing naked pink dudes on someone's winter scene and ruining strangers' art. That's what I'm doing. I attempted to do some shading on this piece, and oh boy, I need some practice with acrylics because there were times when it looked okay, and then there were times when I had to abort mission because it just looked so bad. There were also times when I tried to mix in line art to these, which I don't know if it was really working. I know my style is simple. I think that's what makes this really interesting, is that these nature scenes are they're more on the realistic side, and I think it's cute when you have realistic things and then put cartoon characters into them. But I think the acrylic just was kind of weird, and by weird I mean didn't mix well with an illustrated style with a line art. So I think gradients and a lineless style is what would be best. Anyways, that's what I learned during this painting, and there you go, our pink blobby dudes in winter. Up was the painting that had the least amount of detail. I think this one was probably, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and put this guy on blast because we all know I couldn't do a landscape scene any better, but in comparison to the other two landscapes we had, this one was lacking detail. It just didn't have the same amount of skill and detail. I don't know. So I was a little disappointed in that because I did really want the contrast between my really cartoony style and these realistic looking scenes, but that was okay. It was very bright and colorful, which I was excited about, so I wanted to add even more brightness and color to it. It was primarily a blue and green scene, so I thought it would be fun to add some red colors in there. For some reason, I kept thinking cats. Also, for some reason, I thought sail ship with cats. And if it wasn't a sail ship with cats, it was giant weird cats. So I don't know, that's what we ended up going with. Thankfully, removing this piece from its frame was very simple, so I got it taken out and got started. Now, something I haven't talked about is the amount of paint I wasted for this video. I mean, I say waste, but I did roll over the colors from painting to painting, but I did end up with quite a bit of paint I didn't use. Obviously, as you know, I am not used to acrylic painting or even oil painting. I am a watercolor artist, so once watercolor dries, you are able to add water to it and keep going. That is not the case for other paints like acrylic. Yes, I know you can add a little bit of water to acrylic as you work with it, but it's not something you can reactivate. And I didn't have a really good feel on how much paint would go, as in how much you mix and how far it spreads on the canvas, I guess. So yes, I will admit, and I'm sure you have seen on the side, how much paint is sitting on the palette. Please excuse me, for I am learning. That said, if you have any additional tips for using acrylic paints, feel free to share them in the comments. Of course, I was using Skillshare and I got so many wonderful tips from Kat and other artists on there. In her class before she got into the actual painting, she talked about the different types of acrylics, either fluid acrylics or heavy-bodied acrylics, and I knew I wanted heavy-bodied because I wanted that thick paint, which honestly I didn't even know there were two types of. When I went to the art store to buy my paints for the first time, I got some help to see what I needed to buy just in case I was buying the wrong thing. And although I did know pretty much what I wanted, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't leave the store with the wrong things, and the guy told me it sounded like I knew what I was talking about. So thanks to Skillshare, I went into the art store looking like a pro already because I knew what I was talking about, or at least I pretended to know I knew what I was talking about. All that said, let's talk about the current piece I'm working on. So this is actually my favorite piece out of the three that I did today. And I think at this point I had learned a little bit about acrylic paints, and also just I learned how to adapt my style into a more painted style. Something I really enjoyed about acrylic, or maybe just painting in general like this, is that when things get farther away, you lose a bit of ability to make the small little strokes you need to make a little tiny detailed cat off in the distance. So something I really like about painting is that you just put down these vague little blobs and it's like, yep, that's the same thing but far away. That is something I definitely almost never do with my art. I'm usually very controlling when it comes to my art. I like things to be very nice and crisp and clean. And I don't normally do abstracty little blobs to represent cats, but I really enjoyed that about this. I just put some little lines and blobs and there you go. There's our cat far off in the distance. Like I mentioned before, this piece was a lot brighter than the others with those greens and blues, so I just wanted to make this one even brighter with some red cats. I had originally painted the ship and then I decided that I didn't want the ship anymore because I just wanted a bunch of weird giant cats all over the place. So the cool thing about acrylic, which I can't do with watercolor, is that if you made a mistake or you don't like something, just paint the heck over it. So that ship disappeared and turned into a giant cat, which probably is my favorite part of this painting. I just love that cat's stupid face. I love the giant cat in the water. I love all the little red cats. I just really enjoyed this piece. There was a lot of techniques and things that I got to play around with and I liked it. And that was it for our third and final thrift painting. And there are our 3 thrift painting paintovers or modifications or whatever you want to call them. I had so much fun with these. I mean, I was excited about it. I knew I was gonna have fun. And my God, they are weird. They're silly, but they turned out so cute. I just love that you can take these simple, pretty little sceneries and then just add some, I don't know, cats to them or something. And they just completely turn into something different. And I had a lot of fun with them, especially using a medium I've never used before. And now I'm just super pumped to make giant canvas acrylic paintings and just have fun and do abstract things. I'm not farting, that's my chair. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had so much fun with this new medium. I can't wait to do more with it. Also, if you want to get that 2-month free trial with Skillshare, thanks to the sponsor of this video, click a link in the description. Try a new medium, have fun, go out there and make some art. All right guys, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye.